Picture this. You're walking through a neighborhood in Rome. It's late afternoon. The streets are glowing orange from the setting sun. Between old apartment buildings, colorful sheets and shirts hang from balcony to balcony, dancing in the wind over the cobblestone streets. It feels like a movie scene. Now jump to Mexico City. Same thing. Clotheslines stretch over rooftops. T-shirts. Jeans. Bed sheets. A family's entire week of laundry drying under the sky. Tokyo? Same. Bangkok? Same. Cape Town? Same. Now land in suburban Ohio. Nothing. No shirts. No towels. No bed sheets. Perfect lawns. Identical houses. Clean sidewalks. And absolutely zero laundry hanging outside. At first, that doesn't sound strange. Until you hear this. In some parts of America, hanging your clothes outside can actually get you fined. Not joking. You can receive warnings from your neighborhood association. You can get letters. Penalties. Sometimes even legal threats. For using the sun. The thing that's been drying clothes for thousands of years. So here's the question. How did the most powerful country on earth become one of the only places where drying clothes outside became controversial? Because the answer isn't about laundry. Not really. It's about status. Advertising. Suburbs. Social pressure. And one of the strangest cultural shifts you've probably never noticed. And by the end of this video, you'll probably never look at a dryer the same way again. Because what happened here is way bigger than clothes. Let's rewind. Way back. Long before washing machines. Long before dryers. Long before electricity itself. For most of human history, every human being on Earth dried clothes exactly the same way. You washed them. You wrung them out. And then, you hung them outside. That was it. No buttons. No machines. No monthly electricity bill. Just sunlight and wind. And this wasn't considered primitive. It wasn't considered poor. It wasn't considered old-fashioned. It was simply life. Even today, across huge parts of the world, that's still true. In Italy and Spain, many apartment buildings are designed with built-in drying racks. In Japan, one of the most technologically advanced countries on earth, people still regularly hang laundry outside. In Brazil. Mexico. India. South Africa. Across Europe. Across Asia. Across much of the world. Air drying is completely normal. And here's the statistic that changes everything. Roughly 75 to 80% of humanity regularly air dries their clothes. Think about that. The United States isn't the standard. It's the exception. America is the unusual one. And once you realize that, you start asking, wait. Why? Why did one country take a completely different path? To answer that, we need to travel to one of the most important moments in modern American history. The late 1940s. World War II had just ended. Millions of soldiers were returning home. The economy exploded. Factories that had once built military equipment suddenly shifted into producing consumer products. America wasn't rebuilding. America was booming. Families wanted homes. Developers needed to build them fast. And so began one of the biggest transformations in history. The rise of suburbia. Entire towns appeared almost overnight. Rows and rows of nearly identical houses. Fresh lawns. Driveways. Garages. The image of what became known as the American dream. And hidden inside that dream was a machine that would quietly reshape culture. The electric clothes dryer. Now dryers already existed. The first versions appeared decades earlier. But they were expensive. Rare. Mostly luxury items. Then post-war manufacturing changed everything. Suddenly companies could mass produce them. Prices dropped. And major corporations saw an opportunity. Because they weren't just selling appliances. They were selling identity. Advertisements from the 1950s didn't say, "Here's a machine that dries clothes." No. They said, "This is modern. This is progress. This is success. This is the future." Commercials showed smiling families. perfect homes, beautiful kitchens, happy suburban lifestyles. And there was an unspoken message underneath it all. People who still hang clothes outside? They're behind. They're stuck in the past. They haven't fully arrived yet. That message sounds subtle. But over time, subtle messages become powerful. Very powerful. Because humans don't just buy products. We buy symbols. Cars become symbols. Phones become symbols. Clothes become symbols. And somehow, drying your laundry became one too. By the 1960s, dryer ownership exploded. Millions bought them. Then millions more. But this is where the story gets strange. Because appliances alone don't explain what happened. Another force was growing alongside suburbia. Something millions of Americans deal with today. HOAs. Homeowners associations. At first, they sounded reasonable. The idea was simple. If everyone follows certain standards, neighborhoods stay attractive. Property values stay high. Everyone benefits. Makes sense. Until standards became rules. And rules became restrictions. Grass height. Fence colors. Mailbox designs. Parking locations. Paint shades. And eventually, clotheslines. Because many HOA boards decided outdoor laundry looked messy. Unattractive. Too working class. Too poor. Too old-fashioned. Too wrong. Think about how weird that is. Somewhere along the way, visible laundry became associated with failure. Not because of science. Not because it didn't work. Because of image. And image can become incredibly powerful. By the 1970s and 1980s, clothesline bans spread across communities. Today, estimates suggest somewhere between 60 and 80 million Americans live under HOA rules. Millions of people literally cannot hang clothes outside even if they want to. Which brings us to something nobody talks about. What does this actually cost? The average American household washes hundreds of loads every year. A typical dryer uses significant electricity every single cycle. Now, one dryer doesn't seem like much. But multiply that by tens of millions of homes. Year after year. Month after month. Decade after decade. And suddenly we're talking about enormous energy use. All to replace sunlight. And here's what's funny. Dryers don't just consume energy. They slowly damage clothes too. Heat breaks down fabric. Elastic wears out faster. Colors fade. Fibers weaken. Your favorite shirt? The dryer is aging it every time you press start. Meanwhile, sunlight and air? Free. And surprisingly gentle. Now, before this turns into an anti-dryer campaign, let's be fair. Context matters. Because if you live in Minnesota in January and it's negative 10 degrees outside, good luck drying your jeans in a snowstorm. Dryers solve real problems. Rain exists. Winter exists. Humidity exists. Convenience matters. No question. But here's what's fascinating. America didn't abandon clotheslines because dryers were better. America abandoned them because dryers became associated with status. There's a difference. A huge difference. Because once culture labels something as successful, people often stop questioning it. And that's not uniquely American. Every society does this. Every culture has invisible rules. Things nobody writes down. Things nobody explains. Things everyone just absorbs. And eventually people stop asking why. That's when habits become identities. And identities become traditions. Some states have started pushing back. Florida. Colorado. Hawaii. Vermont. They passed right to dry laws limiting HOA restrictions. Yes. Right to dry. That's a real thing. An actual legal battle. Over hanging shirts outside. And if you're watching from outside America, this whole story probably sounds ridiculous. You might be thinking, wait, people seriously banned clotheslines? But that's exactly why this topic is so fascinating. Because when you're inside a culture, things feel normal. Until you step outside. Then suddenly you notice the weird stuff. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Because this isn't really a story about laundry. It's about how societies quietly shape our behavior. How companies influence culture. How convenience becomes expectation. How advertising becomes identity. And how millions of people can inherit habits without ever realizing where they came from. Think about your own life. How many things do you do every day simply because everyone around you does them? How many things feel normal without you ever asking why? That's the real question here. Not laundry. Not dryers. Not clotheslines. Why do humans decide some behaviors are respectable and others aren't? And who decided in the first place? Because somewhere in America right now, someone is probably loading clothes into a dryer, while outside, there's a giant free ball of nuclear fire in the sky doing the exact same job. For free. And that's kind of hilarious. Now I want to hear from you. Do people hang laundry outside where you live? Have you ever lived in an HOA? Or are you watching this from somewhere else thinking, wait, America actually bans sunlight? Drop your country and your answer below. I read every comment. And if you enjoy exploring strange hidden stories like this, the things societies do without realizing it, subscribe. Because once you start noticing these invisible rules, you start seeing them everywhere. And trust me, the next one is even crazier.